Hello, this is The Great Expanse. So I've gotten to the point where I have a lot of actually let's be honest, 10% started projects that I want to work on. But instead I thought, it seems like a good use of time? Updating Cavern Clinger, which has been so unsuccessful I've only gotten 2 scam emails requesting to publish my game for me. Against all logic though, I wanted to update it anyway. For anyone who doesn't know, Cavern Clinger is an endless runner game where you swing through the cavern, collect gems, dodge obstacles, and escape the lava wall constantly behind you. It has procedurally generated terrain, special skins with unique abilities, and even a boss fight, which can give you a unique reward. I hope that riveting explanation titillated you. Please download it. So I have a lot of bugs I want to fix, new features I want to add, and various tweaks that need to be made. The main goal is to make the game more fun, more replayable, and more profitable. More addictive. More good. I'm keeping my goals small, So something I want to focus on this update is overhauling the terrain generation. But first, I want to address some pressing bugs and tweaks. Geez, I am not mentally prepared to dive back into this. Anyway, there are a few bugs that should just be quick fixes. So when I added a new item in a previous update, I forgot to update the stats menu. This is now fixed. When leveling up to the next mission rank for the first time, sometimes the game just doesn't level you up and then softlocks you in the ranking up screen. This bug was kind of embarrassing because I made someone I know download the game, and then this happened when they first leveled up, and I was like, geez, the game broke in the first 5 minutes. But this shouldn't happen anymore. This next one's a little more puzzling. When you collect gems, a little counter appears next to the player and then eventually disappears if you haven't collected a gem in a while. Well, sometimes this counter would never disappear and cause the count to keep increasing to very high amounts. Since the player's highest gem streak is stored in statistics, this bug is skewing the player stats from what they should be. However, I could never recreate this bug and couldn't find what caused it, so I did the next best thing. I ignored it. There was also an issue with the username profanity filter not working in builds. I swore that in a previous update I tested it and it was working, but when someone I knew put in a naughty word as their username, I just sat there thinking, wait, that's not supposed to happen. It does work in the editor, as you can see though. The problem was that the line endings of the profanity text file were carriage return and line feed, and I was using system.environment.newline to split the file into words. The problem is that system.environment.newline differs based on the system you're in, but the text file remains the same no matter where it is. Changing the endings of the file to just line feed and using the new line escape sequence to split the file seemed to work. It's fine if you don't know what any of that meant. I'm very bad at explaining. And finally, there was a bug where the player could become invincible indefinitely. I forgot what the circumstances of the bug were, but I found out that it apparently happens when the player is invincible with the robot skin and then dies and then respawns. Hopefully, with that info, I'll be able to find what's going wrong. Okay, so I think I fixed this, but honestly I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I did though, I just didn't write it down. I never could actually recreate this bug anyway, but it should be gone. Okay, and with a few other bugs fixed, all of the bugs that I knew and or cared about are gone. Some of these were written so long ago that I actually have no idea what they even mean. So, those weren't fixed. Now I wanted to address the issue that King Spiky was too hard to beat. Because I kind of want to add more bosses, I feel like King Spiky should be like the first starter boss, so it shouldn't be as hard. So I just tweaked it so that the ceiling isn't as high when fighting the boss, made it so the boss doesn't stay as far away during the last few phases, and changed around the attack delays. Hopefully all of those together should make it a little easier, so it's not as frustrating. Now let's work on the terrain. This is one of the older parts of this project, so it's an absolute mess. I'm just going to start by separating the code that generates the actual mesh and collider for the terrain so I can focus on just generating vertices, because that's the actual complex part. Yeah, about what I expected. So I set the wrong prefab and also forgot to set the position of the terrain, but after fixing that, the mesh is now offset from the collider. Okay, there we go, basically correct. Now to overhaul how I generate the vertices for the terrain. If I want to create better and more complex terrain, I can't keep working with this mess. So, as you progress through the cavern, there are various phases with increasing difficulties, which are shown by the different colors. So, various aspects of the terrain generation need to be tweaked at different phases. So, Naturally, I had decided to create one method with a switch statement with all of these values hard-coded. To put it lightly, that's stupid. So now instead I'm creating a scriptable object to hold all of this info for one phase and storing each phase in a folder. So now I'm pretty much just going to rewrite the terrain generation because I didn't really plan for any expansion when I first wrote it. I know the mistakes I made, and I also have a few new ideas for how to generate the terrain. I'm just going to work on it and show you all when it's done, because this will take a bit. Let me first say that, yes, it doesn't look a huge amount different from before. These changes were mostly behind the scenes stuff to allow me to add future changes more easily. This also took me a while to do, so obviously I feel very productive right now. There were so many problems I really didn't think I'd run into, seeing as I was basically just redoing something I had already made. But nope. The most memorable problem I ran into was the terrain doing this, and I didn't really know how it was possible in the slightest. I encountered this problem very early on and left it for future me, naturally. But eventually I realized it was because the code generating the path for the cave didn't work correctly sometimes. So, with a bit of calculus, debugging, realizing computers don't have infinite precision, and then subsequently denouncing calculus forever, we got it fixed. Along the way, a lot of scripts relating to the old terrain generation had to be changed or just wholly rewritten. For example, one of the very first scripts I wrote to control the camera was absolutely terrible. Look at this, I'm storing a game object and then calling gate component on it twice in the update method. That might not seem like the worst thing in the world, but it was/is all over the place in my old code. Anyway, I rewrote the script. So now that everything code-wise is done, hopefully I can move on to the fun part and the reason it took so long to get to this point in the first place. Everything terrain generation-wise can be configured in the inspector, with scriptable objects defining almost every part of the terrain generation process. You can see that there are holes and pillars in the terrain, which can have their size and frequency changed via a scriptable object. The pillars are actually new, and I think it helps stop you from being able to just zoom through super fast, so I think it's a good addition. I can also create new terrain types and terrain phases really easily now. So I recreated the other terrain types that existed before. The ceiling terrain, and the empty cavern terrain, which I added pillars to because I had gotten some feedback that it was too hard before, so I think this will help. Then I created a new one. This shattered terrain, which is very uneven and has lots of tight spots. It took 5 minutes to make, which was very nice. I could potentially even create entirely new caverns to run through, with different phases, terrain types, obstacles, and treasures. That definitely won't be done in this update, but could definitely be added quite easily in a future one. I really would add more to the terrain right now, but I've already spent way too much time on this update, so maybe I'll leave it for a future update. So, I made the entire terrain generation sequence, specifying what terrain types generate in each phase and how common obstacles and treasures are in various terrain types. After a while of tweaking and playtesting, I think I struck a good balance where the game gets more difficult as you travel onwards. With practically the entire game changed, I think I'm going to wrap this up. So I built the project for Android and uploaded it to the Google Play Store. Very simple. Then I built the project for iOS and, once again, embarked on the horrible and insanity-inducing process of uploading it to the App Store. I am not going to get into it. It took a while. This is me from the future. You know how I said 10 seconds ago in this video that uploading to Google Play was simple? Well, okay. I was waiting to update on Google Play until I got the App Store stuff sorted out, and then Google permanently deleted my account for inactivity. It's not even on the Google Play Store anymore, it's just completely gone. I'll be fair, there was warnings, but I had uploaded for testing, so I thought it would be fine. So I thought, okay, fine. This is annoying, but I'll send another $25 Google's way because, they really need it, and create another developer account to re-upload Cavern Cleaner. And then I saw this. Are you serious? I need to have 20 users playtesting my app over the course of 2 weeks in order to upload. What? How is any small developer supposed to do this? I don't even know 20 people, much less 20 people with Androids. Apparently, this is a new policy for new developer accounts. Thanks. So, now the app just doesn't even exist on Google Play anymore. You can still download it on the iOS App Store for free though, just sorry Android users, Google's being mean. So yeah, if you want to play this update, it's up on the App Store. If any of you guys have Android phones and for some reason really want to play this update, I would totally be willing to make you a tester. That would be a huge help to me if anyone's interested. I would just have to get your email to add you to the internal testing list. I wouldn't recommend throwing your email in the comment section though, so I don't really know what my plan with this is. But anyway, that's it. In the next video, I'm finishing up my self-aiming dart launcher, which I started in the previous one. If that interests you, stick around to see it finished. It's pretty cool. So stay tuned if you're interested. See you later. Bye-bye.